The story of a market called the night market. By day the street looked perfectly normal. Morning in Udoji was beautiful, but broke. It greets you, opened shutters, warmed pepper soup, and sold almost nothing. Don't blame morning. Its customers were rumor. The traders had called out the way you talk to a road that refused to answer. Fresh cut, fresh week. Come fine, go finer. Pepper soup hot and honest. For men that slept like champions. Original cases, no crack again. By better protection. Sweet oranges. Sweet like love, no heartbreak. A few passers-by had glanced, smiled, kept moving. Basil had kept sweeping a floor that was already clean. He talked to his broom the way lonely people talk to radios.
Nomi and you dey open.
He glanced up and down the road, dropped his voice into gist gear.
I heard sale happens only at night.
I heard there was a separate list for night traders. Different names. Different faces. I heard the buyers didn't show face. You sold, they paid. You counted later, in your house, with the light on. Nkiru and Mama Nnedi added. Who told they? Amaka asked. Whoever Ruma used. Ruma didn't show ID card. Later on, a tax officer wandered by, stamping a pole, then requested for money.
Where my money? Compliance is compliance.
Let me just face my oranges. Don't start. Amaka replied with laughter. That was how morning talked to itself. And that was how mystery grew fat on gist with no evidence. It was afternoon that changed her plan. Morning argued with pride, evening argued with pocket. That was the hour when bills were shoes. Inside her small, neat room, Amaka had emptied her pouch on a mat, thin notes, a few coins. She counted once. Twice. The number refused to change. A knock. The landlady stood in the doorway with a polite problem. Amaka, my daughter. Plumber said the back pipe must change this week. Each room will add small. By 2 days' time, please. Auntie. I will bring it. I know. That's why I asked you. God bless your hand. Amaka's phone had buzzed before the door finished closing. Exam fee deadline, tonight 9 p.m. from Chidi. Mama's medicine finished from Auntie Ngozi. She'd exhaled through her nose and counted again. Same. Here was the list: pipe money, exam money, medicine money. Morning had greeted and passed. The clock introduced itself. Later that day, in the corridor at dusk, the light thinned. Nkiru had appeared with a nylon bag and a tired smile. Nkiru, any small loan? I'll return tomorrow. Amaka, I swear, I no get today. They just looked at me and walked away. Then Mama Nnedi leaned out of a doorway with a bowl. I could feed you pepper soup. This one not free. Money. Asked the son why it gave only heat. They had smiled to cover the sting. Mama Nnedi pressed the warm bowl into Amaka's hands. Eat. When food entered, plan would show face. 2 spoons later, Amaka had gone back inside, smoothed the thin notes like they might multiply if they felt loved. They didn't. Through the window, she could see the crooked union board. A small paper in red ink flapped, permit check, 8 p.m. Beneath it, an old wooden plaque said what old plaques always say, keep your day in the day. Her phone had buzzed again, 8 p.m. blinking at her like a dare. She tied her wrapper tighter. Checked her lantern wick. Tucked her few notes into her pouch. Okay. The permit clerk had been half asleep, dust on the counter, rubber stamp like a lazy judge. Permit, please. Name. Amaka. He toddled a small card and slid it over. Night trading permit, entry, 8 to 8:20 p.m. Tiny words on the back she didn't read then. Compliance is compliance. She tucked the card into her blouse, held the lantern a little closer, and turned toward the road that was becoming less road and more evening. None of us knew what lived past it. In our town, we didn't clap when a door opened itself. She walked into the deepening blue. The paper flapped. The wood didn't blink. Night didn't arrive with music. It lowered its voice, tapped the ground once, and waited to see who heard. If you came for gist, you came too early. If you came to sell, you stood straight and held your lamp. The lane had thinned into shapes. Doorways that were ordinary at 6 felt like they knew something. A faint chalk line ran across the ground, like a seam in cloth. A night warden in a blue jacket had stepped to the line. Cap low. Cane tip on chalk. One tap. Tap. Amaka had stood just back from the line, lantern cupped in both hands. She swallowed, lifted her permit card slightly. He glanced at it, then at her face, and gave a slow nod. No words. The rule had greeted her. She stepped over and moved to a post with a tiny chalk star. 2 baskets down, lantern lit. The flame held like a small promise. She waited. For a moment, nothing. Then, quietly, the lane woke in a way that didn't disturb anything. A hook appeared where a nail was. A canvas seam opened that hadn't been there at noon. Far down, a chair that was red in the day had become navy. No one asked why. No one answered. If you expected good evening, you would grow cobwebs on your ear. Night here didn't do introduction. It pointed. A gloved hand slid into frame and tapped an orange. No face. No voice. Just a sure tap. Amaka peeled, clean spiral, wrapped 3 segments in brown paper, set it down. A coin dropped. Old. Cold enough to fog the air for a breath. The hand was gone. She caught herself about to speak and closed her mouth gently. She nodded at nobody. A bare hand, damp, like it had just come out of water, tapped 2 bananas. Cut. Wrap. 2 coins. Gone. Her palm shone a little, she wiped it on her wrapper and kept her face quiet. Down the lane, tables that did not exist in the day existed now without asking permission, a rack of veils, dried leaves in glass bottles, a tailor's low stool where a needle dipped and rose without visible thread. All of it quiet, like a library with secrets. A thin hand, bony, wearing a ring that caught the lantern light like it was remembering, tapped 5 oranges quickly. Tap. Tap. Tap tap. Tap. Amaka's fingers learned a new speed. Packages stacked before she realized she hadn't taken a breath. There was someone who kept the peace, you could feel her even when you couldn't see her properly. People called her the one who knew where the rules breathed. She didn't clap. She didn't shout. She didn't need to. Something soft had landed on Amaka's table, a folded cloth with stitched corners. Inside, old notes crisp enough to obey a bank, and a round token with a hole in the middle. She looked up. There was only Night. She tied the cloth tight, pressed her palm to it a second longer than necessary, and tucked it under the table. A child-sized hand reached from below for a single orange. A coin fell without sound. When she lifted it, the wood held a small damp circle. She peeled and wrapped and set it down gently. The hand took it and vanished. She adjusted the last oranges, put the final banana on top like a crown. Her breathing was steady, but her right elbow had started its small tremble, the one that always showed up when she did something new and pretended not to be afraid. Time folded quietly. Someone flipped a tag from closed to open, another from open to sold out without noise in between. A stool scraped once. The cane tapped once. Tap. A work-scarred hand, bandaged thumb, strong palm, tapped the crown banana. Cut. Wrap. A coin cold enough to make her breath visible landed on the table. The hand took the packet. Gone. Her baskets were empty. She stood still, listened to see if the world would clap. It didn't. It never did. She put both hands on the table and leaned, just for a second. Shoulders down. One long breath, like a person who had been holding it since childhood. If you wanted proof, that was it. Full table to empty table, no faces, no greetings, no bargaining. If you liked noise more than result, that lane would have frustrated you. If you liked receipts, you waited till morning. She bent and brought out the folded cloth. She didn't open it. She weighed it in both hands, eyes closed one heartbeat, then set it back. She lifted the lantern. One last look down the lane, small lamp still burning, hands still pointing and paying. No eyes on her. That was courtesy there, eyes minded their business, money minded its own, and everybody went home. She stepped back to the chalk. The Night Warden stood as if he had grown from it. He didn't block her. He didn't bless her. He tapped his cane, tap, and she crossed to the dayside. On her side of the line, the air felt warmer. Or maybe it was only her skin returning to itself. She blew out the lantern. Smoke curled and wrote something on the air that disappeared before anyone could read it. In the morning, nobody would know what she had crossed. That was how the story stayed alive. You sold, you went, you kept quiet. We kept quiet too, until the money told on itself in daylight. She tucked the permit card back into her blouse, gripped the folded cloth, and went into the dark that belonged to ordinary streets. By morning, money proved it wasn't a dream. Amaka had opened the folded cloth on her mat, old notes, some new, cold coins that no longer fogged the air. She counted. This time, the number moved like it had somewhere honest to go. Her phone had buzzed. They extended it. Exam portal closes 12 noon. From Chidi. Please get Mama's tablets this morning. From Auntie Ngozi. She tied her wrapper, grabbed her purse, and stepped out like a person the sun had called by name. Under a small umbrella, a POS lady had swiped notes into the machine. Amount. Exam fee, and this pharmacy account. Approved. Approved. Amaka had taken both slips and let a long breath off her chest. The chemist had slid a white packet across. Same tablets. Morning and night, after food. Amaka paid, in notes, not in stories. The landlady had stood with a plumber's receipt. Amaka counted cash into her hand. I said they should ask you last. Responsible child. Thank you. She'd patted Amaka's shoulder like a report card she liked reading. You saw it, no to transfer, no to medicine, no to landlord. That was what useful meant where bills were faces. Back at the stalls, nothing had pretended to be special. Basil swept, Nkiru polished, Mama Isi stirred. Fresh cut, Bossman. Honest pepper. Quality cases. They'd watched Amaka measure and tie a new strip of tarpaulin across her table. She sat like a person who had slept, even if she hadn't. A hen, investor. New nylon, new stool. Who dashed you Lagos? Money entered that pocket today. I can hear the coins. Customers found me. A younger trader had leaned into Nkiru, voice low, the wages travels when shelves are full of air. I heard from me the tailor finished back orders, overnight. This morning, customer said, thank you like miracle. I heard the same. I also heard she sleeps like a log in the day now. Even generator cannot wake her. They say. Bring me something that has a receipt. Nkiru had tipped her chin at Amaka's clean tap and small smile. Receipt is hanging over her table already. Amaka had kept her face plain, wiped her board, rearranged her oranges, lower pyramid this time, pacing herself. Her phone had buzzed. I saw it. Thank you. Chidi. A corner of her mouth had lifted. Not a grin. A rest. Suspense in Udoji wasn't thunder. It was 3 problems solved before breakfast, and a girl pretending she hadn't met Night by name. Night didn't beg her to return. It simply stood where she left it, hands behind its back, waiting to see if her feet remembered the road. The faint chalk line had been there. The blue jacket Night Warden had tapped his cane once. Tap. Amaka stepped over with fuller baskets and a steadier lantern. She placed oranges and bananas by the chalk star. The flame held. She waited. Hands had done the rest, a gloved finger for 1 orange, peel, wrap, old coin, a damp palm for 2 bananas, cut, wrap, 2 coins. No faces. No voices. At the next table, a young woman with a gold scarf, Dero, had arranged tiny scarves and waist beads. Quick hands, tired eyes. She worked like a person who had already learned what Amaka was learning now. First week, your hands learn speed. Second week, your mouth learns quiet. And the third. If you last, you stop asking why and start asking how many. A small cloth pouch had landed on Amaka's table, old notes, a metal token with a hole. She tied it tight and slid it under, breath steadying into the market's rhythm. If you came for conversation, morning would have been kinder. If you came to count, night had manners. There were rules. They didn't shout from rooftops. They waited for your hands to be too busy to argue. The aisle had hushed by a hair. From a quiet edge, Mama Onwa had stepped into lamplight, wrapped head, calm face, eyes that settled people without raising voice. The girl, Night keeps seats for those who keep seats for Night. If you want your store not to shake, give the market your respect. Dara had reached under her table and brought out a small bundle, red threads, a stub of chalk, a clay pot with a pinhole. Stand. A neat chalk circle had appeared around Amaka's feet. One by one, Dara tied 7 red threads on her left wrist, snug, not painful. Dara had dropped a pinch of salt into the clay pot. Amaka plucked a single hair, dropped it. Dara handed her a gourd, bitter water. Amaka sipped and let a bead fall into the pot. It gurgled once, like agreement. Palm. Amaka kissed her palm to the lantern flame, just enough to sting, and pressed that warm palm to the edge of her table, leaving a soot print the size of a thumb. Keep your name. Don't speak it here. Nothing else had happened, that was the point. The buyer's hands returned. Tap. Peel. Wrap. Coin. Gone. 2 tables down, a lantern had fought and lost. Its light coughed and died. The wardens in blue arrived without hurry. The trader whispered, "Please," one warden shook his head kindly. They led her away by the elbow. The table wasn't there anymore. Where did they take her? To a seat with no flame. Amaka had swallowed and folded her fear into her walk. The cane tapped once somewhere far. Tap. They hadn't called it a ritual, they'd called it respect. You could argue with the word. You could not argue with your own soot mark on your own table. Daylight believed what it could spend. So did we. Back on the street, the tarpaulin had looked new. Basil whistled his approval. Nkiru's eyebrows did their own interview. You walked like money was balancing on your head. Confess. Customers found me. They'd laughed around the soup cup Mama Nnedi had pushed into Amaka's palm. But every blessing in our town carried a small instruction. At an eatery, Amaka had taken a spoon of stew and frowned. Salt is shy. At the union kiosk, the clerk had printed Amefa twice, yawned, and told her to come tomorrow. At Mama Nnedi's stand, they'd taken a selfie, Nkiru crisp, Basil stubbornly handsome, Mama Nnedi proud, Amaka slightly soft, like the camera had forgotten to finish her. Why do you look like soft focus? Maybe I need sleep. They'd laughed. The laugh had hidden a question nobody wanted to ask in sunlight. Rich Quick was a true story. At What Price was a sequel. We got there, slowly. Rules didn't shout in that place, they waited for a quiet corner and a person who had already said a yes with her hands. It was after the store with no flame had vanished. The lane had settled back into breathing. Mama Onwa had motioned to Amaka with her chin, just away from the light, but not into darkness. "The girl, if you want your seat to hold, there are things Night expects. Do them cleanly, and go home. Do them badly, and they forget where to put you." Amaka had nodded, listening like a person who didn't want to miss a word. "At dawn, once every moon, you will bring 2 children to the river to call your name. Only voice. Only witness. They go back to their mothers before school bell. 2 children every month. 2 voices. They listens best to children. If you keep your name alive there, the ledger here sits quietly." She'd paused, then laid the second part down like a receipt. "Before cockcrow, same moon, you will give food to 2 small hands here. No price. No story. Don't count it as charity, count it as balance. If you miss it, the market will not punish you. The day will simply stop seeing you properly. No blood. No sleep here. Just voices and fruit. Voices. Fruit. Respect. If anyone tells you otherwise, they are borrowing fear to sound wise." The Night Warden had passed, tapped the line once, tap, and kept moving. "Do not bring the same children again and again. Rotate. Let the neighborhood remember you without asking why." Amaka had breathed out, like a person who had been waiting to hear a clean version of something she feared would be crooked. "I understand. Then do it well, and go home when you're done." This was how she did it when no one was meant to know. She gave food first, then turned the gift into a game. No parents. No elders. Just 2 small voices and mourning. Back lane, before sun thought about rising. Tin roofs still black. A cockroach trying to be important in the next compound. Amaka waited by her back gate with a small enamel tray, 3 oranges, 2 bananas, and a brown paper wrap of biscuits. She did not knock on any door. She just stood where she knew 2 early walkers always passed, the little boy who fetched water fast for his mother, and the girl who followed her elder sister to the kiosk at dawn. They came, sleepy, sweater sleeves too long, scarf crooked. "See free fruit for champions. 1 each, before the world wakes." The boy grabbed his orange with both hands. The girl reached for a banana like she didn't trust blessings that early. "Thank you, auntie." Amaka bent to their height, lowered her voice like someone letting them in on a secret. "You want to see where echoes live?" "Where?" "It's just there, small bridge by the river. We will shout once, collect our echo, and run back before your mommy finishes counting plates." The boy looked at the girl. The girl looked at the still dark sky. Greed for adventure beat sleep. "Let's go." She set the biscuits on the tray, picked up her small lantern, and led them the short way, out the side, along the hedge, past the old tire where goats like to argue. Not far. Not deep. The river edge lived just behind the compound wall like a secret breathing. No ceremony. No shadow talk. She did exactly what she had been told, only voice, only witness, only dawn. She placed them on a flat, dry stone where even a careful mother would not panic. She stood between them and the water, as if guarding something precious. "Okay. Help me call my name so my shop will hear me today." One after the other. Loud, but not loud enough to wake the fish. She took a coin from her pouch, cold, heavy, and a tiny dab of palm oil from a folded paper she kept hidden in her wrapper. She drew a small line above the first red thread on her wrist.
"Amaka. Amaka. Amaka."
The boy's eyes widened at the echo.
"Amaka. Amaka."
Amaka dropped the coin into the water, no drama, just a small plunk the river swallowed. She pinched the first red knot. It warmed, then softened under her finger. It came free, a silly, small thing of the skin that had looked like a problem on it. She flicked it into the water. It curled and vanished. Done. She turned them immediately, marched them back along the same short path. On the way, she slipped a biscuit into each palm. Echo didn't catch us. Echo is too slow when biscuit is in your hand. They reached the back gate. No neighbor had opened the door. No dog had bothered to bark. She sent them off with a finger to lips, playful, not threatening. Go now. If anyone asks, tell them you met Orange and it greeted you first. Okay, auntie. They scurried off, one to fetch water, one to pretend she had been awake forever. 2 voices. 1 coin. 1 thread. That was the rule, once each month. Different children next time. No posters. No announcements. Just a woman, Elaine, that knew how to keep quiet, and Dawn that minded its business. She kept the second half of the balance too. 2 small hands, different ones, appeared out of the lamplight. She placed fruit in each without a word. Far down the lane, the scribe glanced at her row and wrote nothing. The Night Warden walked past and didn't tap the chalk. So no, she didn't take children. She got them herself, gave them fruit first, turned it into a short echo game, and returned them at once. Outsiders never knew because there was nothing to see. Only voice and fruit. Only Dawn and the ledger forgetting to argue. After the second moon, nobody could say her money didn't work. In our town, if cash cannot change your address, it is only visiting. Amaka's money brought a box and sat down. A cleaner street. Painted gate. A small front step with stubborn flowers. Amaka stood with 2 boxes and a stubborn smile. Nkiru hugged her like pride and jealousy poured from the same jug. So, you didn't just buy nylon. You bought address. The roof doesn't leak when it rains. That is the testimony. New mattress, no spring arguments. A table fan that actually humbled heat. A proper wardrobe that didn't sigh when you opened it. You are leaving us to live like minister's maid. Sit down, broom professor. You will still sweep my gist every morning. Basil laughed, even though she no longer opened in the morning. Morning missed her face. The street adjusted. But money did the things money is supposed to do: rent, comfort, small dignity that closes your eyes gently at night. A small business center. Hand-painted sign, bookkeeping and inventory 6-week certificate. Amaka stood at the door with a notepad, eyes bright. The tutor talked, she wrote as if she was embalming the words. Stock you cannot count is stock that doesn't respect you. Count, then sell. She didn't go to the big school. She went to classes that teach you receipts and peace. They tried to forget her a little. She answered by writing her name big on every paper. By the 3rd moon, she stopped pretending. She became a night trader properly. No morning table. No call and response at sunrise. She opened when the chalk line welcomed her and closed when Rooster started coughing. Her store looked like a statement: new hand-painted sign, stronger lantern, a small generator humming like a polite insect. Dara stood beside her more often now, gold scarf, quieter eyes. This looks like a store that came here to settle. I am not roaming. Buyer's hands did what hands do: tap, pay, go. Narrator, VO. She didn't quarrel with day. She just kept her ledger clean at night and her life tidy in the sun. Morning stopped seeing her. She stopped asking it to. Every blessing in Udoji has a cousin called adjustment. It didn't knock loudly. It simply rearranged her day. Amaka crossed the street at noon. A neighbor's child looked past her, then blinked, then waved. That one blink was a pebble in her shoe she couldn't remove. In her class she raised her hand to answer a question. The tutor squinted like he was remembering a song's next line. Yes, you. She smiled, then wrote her name extra large on the form they passed around. Amaka. If they forgot, paper would not. Later that day Basil swept a floor she no longer returned to. He called out to a customer and looked down the lane out of habit. She doesn't belong to morning anymore. Morning doesn't own anybody. It rents people by habit. They tried to laugh. They did not do it well. In the evening Amaka packed a box for Momo's visit, new headscarf, wrapper, something sweet. She looked at her wallboard and circled, Mama, next month, boldly. She missed shouting good morning, from stall to stall, but not enough to open tables for silence. She lived where money respected her weight and where sleep didn't leak when the clouds threatened. Don't let anybody lie to you, comfort is a persuasive sermon. She kept the market balance without making it a song. $1 a month, 2 voices, fruit first, echo game, back. Same moon, 2 small hands before cockcrow, brown paper, no price. She did it on time, without noise, like you swallow medicine. Mama Onwa noticed she always did. Do it clean, go home early. Until morning. The night warden walked past and didn't tap near her chalk. That was the market silent, well done. You wanted to know if the money was useful, she changed her address, she bought her bed, she fed the people she loved, and she learned how to count so her store couldn't lie. You wanted to know if she stopped selling by day, she did. And you wanted to know if the night tried to collect something, yes, but softly, through small gaps. That is how Udoji teaches, it gives you comfort, then asks you if you remember your name. Amaka checked her wallboard again. Mama, next month. She underlined it. Twice. In a town with 2 markets, promises stayed alive because people wrote them big. Comfort came first. Then the restlessness. That was the pattern. When money found chair, sleep lost pillow. It was the kind of night that didn't sweat. The fan hummed like a lullaby. Amaka's new mattress held her well. And yet, she woke to a sound she'd only ever heard over chalk. Tap. She sat up. 3:33 am blinked on her table clock, then blinked again, then stopped blinking, as if time didn't want to continue if she refused to listen. A smell of river water, but she hadn't brought wet clothes in. The room felt normal. Her chest did not. She lay back down and slipped inside a dream that didn't bother to whisper. In that dream, a faint chalk line ran across her floor, right between the wardrobe and the door. Hands, only hands, tapped unges on her bedside. A pen scratched on something she couldn't see. Coins breathed fog into the air and then became quiet. Her own footprint, the one she pressed on her stall table at night, showed up on her wall where the calendar should be. When she woke a second time, the room was fine again, fan steady, clock now matching like nothing happened. But a cold coin lay under her pillow where she knew she hadn't kept any. All right. She got up, washed her face, switched on the full light like people do when they want to argue with the kind of dark that refuses to explain itself. Restlessness doesn't always bang pots. Sometimes it taps chalk where chalk isn't. That was how it came for her, in neat, polite ways. She waited to cross. The road was normal. Then, soft as memory, tap. She looked down. No cane. But her heart had heard something it did not want to hear. Later that day she went to Mama Nnedi's stall then. She ate pepper soup. Pepper was a talkative friend. Salt hesitated. How far? This your face is thinking too loudly. Maybe I need sleep. Then borrow some. Don't borrow worry. Amaka nodded, the way people nod when they would do the opposite. Narrator, VO. This was not thunder. It was small weather. But small weather has time. When Noise grew up, she didn't go to a priest of shadows. She went back to the old man who had never raised his voice at the river. The path was a soundy sentence that led to the water the way stories lead to endings. Elder Okut stood with his stick, and the river looked like it had just told a joke it wanted nobody to laugh at. You came earlier than dawn today. I sleep and hear chalk. I sit and hear chalk. I don't see the market, but it sees me. Did you erase your soot mark? What? The mark you pressed on your table the night you tied your threads. The market remembers marks more than faces. If you want to stop dreaming hands, wipe the place where your hand said I agree. How? The table is not there in the day. Find the seam. The seam is small, the minute before night fully stands, or the minute after morning fully sits. Go with a clean cloth and warm salt water. Wipe your soot from the table when the line is confused. Don't greet anybody. Don't look for thanks. Come straight to the river. Wash your palm here, not at home. He tapped his stick once. Tap. She didn't flinch. Good. He went on. For a moon, no lamp at night, early light in the morning. Greet names until your mouth gets tired. Give big in daylight where people can say your name properly. Close your light in the night by choice, not by fear. And if the tapping follows you again, come and sit by the water without speaking until the tapping gets embarrassed. Amaka breathed in. This had shape she could hold. She nodded like someone whose back had found a wall. Okay. It was always okay. You just needed someone to draw the line where your foot can see. It didn't arrive with thunder, it arrived like a notice you've walked past 10 times and one day finally read. She stopped at the condolence board outside the church wall. Paper. Names. Dates. One face, Izudu, gentleman in a faded uniform, the same ring she had seen catch her lantern light as a hand tapped 5 oranges. Under it, 1979 to 2012. No. Next paper, a small boy, Sumto, in a school sweater. Beloved son, drowned at Ogba Bend, 2018. She didn't sit. There was nowhere to sit. She stood and let the road keep being normal while her chest refused to. We had called them evening people. They weren't. They were the ones dawn did not carry anymore. She went to a woman who had already survived the same street. Mama Nnedi sold palm oil by the junction, old eyes, steady hands, wrapper tied like a person who respected weather. People said she used to sell veils at night. People also said she minded her business. Both were true. Mama. I just found out I've been selling to the dead. Mama Nnedi watched her the way midwives watch a woman decide whether to push or cry. So the street told you its real surname. I want to stop. Properly. Without the market following me home. Mama Nnedi wiped oil from a bottle lip with a cloth that knew when to keep quiet. Listen and remember. I left because I learned 3 things. 1. Erase your soot mark at the seam, between day and night, warm salt water, clean cloth, no greeting. 2. Any coin that entered your house without you inviting it, return it at noon. Not dawn. Noon. The river is generous when the sun is awake. 3. 7 dawns, 1 coin back, 1 red thread off, your name 3 times. Borrow 2 small voices quietly if you can. No posters. No explanations. And night. Balance it 1 more time, before cockcrow, that same moon, fruit in 2 small hands, no price, no talk. Then keep quiet for 3 nights, no chatting after sunset. Then be loud for 3 mornings, greet names till your cheeks hurt. You do all that, the tapping learns embarrassment. Mama Onwa. Tell her with respect. Night hates noise. But it loves people who live the right way. Nod at the warden. He will not tap. She leaned in, voice lower. Don't gossip about the market. Finish your own work. Go home. Until morning. Say it like a road you can walk with your eyes closed. Amaka nodded. A plan had found her legs. She didn't owe explanations, but respect asked her to pay a visit to the person who kept order. Twilight, the road tasting like smoke and advice. The chalk line was faint in one part, rude in another. Mama Onwa stood where the line was sure of itself. You're leaving the light alone for a while. A full moon. And the soot mark. I'm going to wipe it at the seam. Salt water. Clean cloth. No greeting. Mama Onwa's face relaxed in a way faces relax when you remember the right proverb without help. When you finish your last coin, did you keep one for luck? Amaka reached into her memory and then into her chest. She remembered the coin under the pillow on the night of the dream. She swallowed. One sat under my head without my permission. Return it. Not at dawn. At noon. The river is strict at dawn, it is generous at noon. Let it feel you bringing something back when it is in a good mood. She stepped closer, not too close. Her eyes had the calm a judge uses when they remember everybody in the room is human. 3 quiet nights. No talking after sunset. Let your mouth rest. 3 loud mornings. Greet names until people laugh at you. Then erase your mark. Then come back and pass without looking down. Thank you. Until morning. She said it back. Until morning. It felt like a rope she could hold. The seam was small, a handful of breaths between almost night and fully night. That was where agreements lived if you wanted to change them. Twilight, the kind with pink that you don't trust. Amaka stood by her store table with a white cloth and a bowl of warm salt water. No lanterns had fully woken. No roosters had started lying. She placed her palm on the table where she knew her soot print had been pressed. Her skin remembered. The cloth followed. The soot lifted. Not black, not dramatic, just a faint gray that knew it had been found out. She wiped till the wood said, I am wood again. She didn't greet anyone. She didn't look for Mama Onwa. She didn't take a coin. She walked straight to the river with the damp cloth held like evidence. The next day, Elder Okut waited, leaning on the stick like a man who knew where all the chairs had gone. Amaka dropped the coin from under the pillow into the brightest patch of water she could find. Good. Now sit. Don't talk to me. Let the water forget your footsteps. They sat without advice for as long as a stubborn thought takes to find the door. When she got up, her chest had stopped listening for a cane that did not belong in daylight. 3 quiet nights followed, no talk after sunset, no lamp for company. 3 loud mornings followed, names shouted on purpose, bread bought in front of witnesses, small gifts in the sun, children, old men, anybody who could use, thank you, Amaka, like a mop. The tapping did not return that week. The coin did not visit her pillow. The clock decided to keep its job at 3:33. End of the moon, she stood where the chalk used to own her legs and passed like a person who knows where she is going. The Night Warden saw. He did not tap. Mama Onwa saw. She nodded with her eyes. They saw. It said her name correctly without trying. Amaka's money did what money is supposed to do, school papers, rent on time, small kindnesses that do not post themselves on a notice board. Her sleep did what sleep is supposed to do, stayed until morning. And the market. It stayed where it lives, behind a line that no longer followed her home. At 7:30 when she wanted to. Not every day. Enough that morning remembered her. Nkiru leaned like joy and worry had learned to share a body. Basil announced what didn't need announcing. Mama Isi arrived with soup that forgave even things that didn't ask. On Amaka's table sat a small bowl and a hand-painted card. For children, free oranges before noon. The little girl pointed. Amaka gave. What's my name? Amaka. The sun agreed. Money agreed. Sleep agreed. She didn't end the night market. Nobody could. She ended her membership, and that was enough. In Udoji, we kept 2 markets and 1 address. They owned names. Night owned receipts. The wise learned when to greet each one, and when to say, until morning.